Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to the Ruby Girl Talk with your favorite Ruby Girl. This is Dr. K, and I have a man guest tonight, y'all. Y'all was looking for a woman guest one year. I put a twist, a spin in it tonight. I got brother Caleb back. He was on my show for like 2%, 2 minutes at 2% of his phone. He dropped off. He was really giving us some great content and then he disappeared. But he's back, and your phone is at what, 110%?
Well, it's actually at 32% because
We're gonna talk fast, y'all. Okay. All right. So what I want you to do is go on my page, find this video, and share it. Share it with your people if you can. Okay. And while you do that, I'm gonna give them this $1 million commercial. Okay. So Ruby Girl comes from Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far above the price of a ruby? So, ladies, this is for you only. It makes you rare, virtuous, and as always, you know that you are so valuable. So, you can connect with me at rubygirl.net, and you can get my newest book. Let me make sure I turn around right. Okay. It's called Why Isn't it won't. Well, I'll just read it to you. It's called Why Isn't the Good Woman Married? Ooh, ladies, it's a guide to understanding the purpose behind your waiting season. And while you're on the website, get my free ebook, get a hat, get a t-shirt, just rock the Ruby Girl gear so you can represent the tribe with the right vibe, which is the Ruby Girls. And so tonight we have Mr. Caleb Whitehorn. And so he's going to do a 30-second introduction. Let me tell you, tonight the show is really going to rock. So I want you to press the share button. It's still free. It's still free. It's still free. Press the share button and share. All right, Mr. Caleb, could you give us a 30-second intro?
I am Caleb Whitehorn. I am 27 years old. I am an entrepreneur. I am blessed. I'm driven, and I love the Lord, and I love people, and loving people is loving the Lord. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm here to share my experiences of my life from my perspective and give insight to new business opportunities and insight to new depths of spirituality.
And you own a business and own a business and own a business. So tell us, you didn't tell us about your businesses.
Um, so I own a cleaning company, I own a real estate business, I own a credit repair business, and I also day trade as well. I own a Turo fleet. So yeah, five businesses.
So as you see, Mr. Caleb is what they really call a serial entrepreneur. And it's good to be a serial entrepreneur. You know, a lot of people say you should chase one rabbit. But it look like you got a whole field of rabbits that you're chasing. But I want you to tell us about your journey to becoming a serial entrepreneur and what motivated you to pursue multiple ventures like this.
um, you know, ever since I was a teenager, to try to summarize it as much as possible and allow it all to make sense. Ever since a kid, I knew I was something special, but I didn't know how. But not something special in an arrogant way. I just wanted to be something special. I wanted to be loved by many and chosen by many. And I wanted to love them the same way I wanted to be loved ever since I was a kid. And that just somehow grew into entrepreneurship. I realized how much I like to do for people. I hated working jobs where people told me what to do. And I have ADHD and I kind of use it to my, like, I don't take any Ritalin or any pills for it. I just kind of use it to my advantage the best way that I can. And, it just turned into entrepreneurship. I just started wanting to do more for myself. So, yeah.
So that ADHD kind of help you keep up with your multiple businesses because you kind of like, here, there. Most people that have ADHD, they kind of like, they're over here a minute, then they're over there a minute, but you use it to your advantage.
I do. I use it to my advantage in the sense of like there's sometimes you just have to let all those thoughts process and understand the messages.
Mhm.
And a lot of like evil things we think, or maybe, or things that I should say we consider evil,
Mhm.
when it's just us being our human fleshly selves. I started accepting that half, and that's what started getting me under control of my ADHD, because there's an important Bible verse that I read in the book of Psalms. I can't think of the exact number, but it says, like, the Lord, I create good and evil.
Mm.
And that verse gave me a lot of clarity as to who I was, because God is in control of all things. So I started understanding, like, there's other reasons as to why I'm having certain thoughts, or certain, trying to get an understanding of certain things. So yeah, I do. I use my ADHD to my, I don't actually like to call it ADHD. I just like to call it part of my spiritual gifts.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that because y'all just think different. It's a book. I think it says being a farmer in a hunter's world or something like that. And it talks about ADHD, how you just think differently than and process things differently than everybody else do. You know, they say it's with your frontal lobe, something that makes you think that way. But I find a lot of people that have ADHD are very intelligent, and they have, and when they learn to master it and just accept this is how I think, this is how I function, that's when they step into success. And I noticed that they like a lot of different things. They don't kind of stick with one thing all the time. They like different things, and that's good because that means you have no problem trying new things. Am I right?
Yeah.
See, try new things. It's not challenging to you. Like me, I have to sit up the anxiety. I gotta pray. I gotta fast. I gotta call 5 people, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put on this new shirt, you know. But with people with ADHD, they just move a little bit different, you know. So as a business owner, you failed on some of your ventures. What made you not give up?
When God has you, he doesn't give you a choice to give up. Um, because you're gonna want to, and wanting to give up is a part of it.
Right.
uh, and there's even times now where I'm like, dude, I do not feel like dealing with this or doing this, or I want to give up on this, but it's just God has his way of saying, no, no, no. It's just patience. It's just this. It's just that. See, things have a way of working themselves out. And if, like, a lot of people take devilish situations and they say, oh, this is something bad happening to me, it must be the devil. When that's not the case, because, like I said, God says he's in control of good and evil. And that's even shown in the book of Job. So uh if you sit there and understand that the Lord is in control of all things, you'll start to look at things a little differently as to why he allows certain things to happen, especially when you ask him for the specifics of what you desire in your life.
Wow, because you just put a post out there that you were almost in bankruptcy and now you just brought another Corvette.
I
How many
wasn't been
cars do you have?
I have two, no, I'm sorry. I have four Kias, I have two Jeeps, I'm sorry, I have five Kias, two three K5s, a Forte and a Telluride. I have two Jeeps 2020 Grand Cherokees. I have two Corvettes 2025. And I'm pretty sure I got another car. I'm trying to think of my cars. Yeah. So just about close to 10 cars.
See, when you got one car like me, I don't have that issue. I know exactly I have one car sitting out there in the driveway, you know, but I can't wait to have that. I think I have 5 and I have 6 of these and that. But you do is Turo fleet?
Yeah, I do Turo fleets. I'm actually trying to more get into private renting because it's a lot more money.
So tell us about that. What is Turo fleets?
Well, Turo's an app where you can list your car and rent it out for, whoever decides to rent it out. You set your price and you rent it out.
Mhm.
Now, these are going to be gems I'm dropping for anybody interested in Turo. But I would suggest people not start with new cars where they have to pay notes on, I would suggest people, even if they are fancy cars, buy them older and try and cash them out, because you'll see more of a return on your investment and you won't be under as much pressure having many car notes. I'm just blessed enough that I have other hustles to cover my car notes.
Mhm.
Um, but private renting, you just make a lot more money. But in order to be a private renter, you just kind of have to have the connections of people that will private rent your your cars, and have enough of a network, almost like being someone who's giving a consultation for their business. You got to have enough people to want to like rent from you, or know enough people to want to rent from you. So yeah, you can put your car on there, you rent it out, people can book it, and you get paid after they're turned it in, and it's nice money.
Have you had anybody mess up any of your cars? You know, this is the $1,000,000 question, everybody wondering.
Not really, because the way that I have my car set up, I'm usually getting good renters. I might get a car back messy, few bottles, maybe a little bit of food, but not really anything too bad. I think I've had one guy like return it like almost on empty instead of like filling the car back up, but that happens. Some people just don't care. But I get mostly great renters. I honestly don't like my Corvettes. I would private rent those versus putting them on Turo, because fast cars people tear up.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and also that's also dependent on where you rent them. That's why I would much rather put them, which I am. I'm shipping my fleet to California. Um, I'd much rather put my cars in California, in certain areas of California, because I know I would get great renters that are more mature audience that would take care of the car, versus if I did it in the heart of LA, where you get all types of people from everywhere,
Yeah.
young and older,
Yeah.
and LA streets are horrible. And and you got a 500 horsepower car,
Wow.
and there's a lot of tips and tricks that you learn, but it's just one of those things you learn as you go.
Wow. So it seems like you do a lot of networking to find the caliber of people that you deal with.
I
It's
know
not
a
like
lot
you're
of
dealing with
people.
a lot of friends and family, which a lot of people do when they start their business. You know, I was sitting in a business meeting last night, and so my mentor asked people, he say, "How are you going to get customers?" And so this lady was like, "Well, my friends and my family." And he was like, "Well, they're going to," he said, "at the bank, they're going to be like, no, because your friends and family are usually the ones that kind of don't support you at first or give you the most, the hardest time, you know?" And so I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't have that problem because my family is fantastic. But, a lot of times, a lot of people don't have that. So you have to be out networking, meeting people. Do you go to high end events, or how do you meet these type of people?
I God gave me a networking gift. Like, I'm a hustler 100%. People are attracted to my energy more than they are attracted to and the way that I articulate my words and know what I'm talking about, but that comes from the fruit of the spirit, right?
Yeah.
Um is why people are attracted to me. And I've I've been in so many different places with so many high-end people, because I'm just not afraid of people.
Mhm.
I'm more afraid of myself than I am of people. And even with me being afraid of myself, I'm afraid of myself because of who I serve, not
Mhm.
because of who Caleb is. And I really live this philosophy of God controls everything. And um when you truly live by that, things change. I There's so many things in my life that have happened where it could only be God, even
Wow.
California. Like, I just I live off energy, and I realize that I am energy. And the way that I think about things is energetic versus three-dimensional.
Mhm.
So even though the energetic crosses into the three-dimensional, I I just have my standards and my morals and my thought process set up than a lot of different people. That's why I've been able to get into these high end places to network and just being smart, reading a lot of books,
Mhm.
um, that type of thing.
Okay. So what are some of the misconceptions about obtaining and using business credits? Because a lot of business owners, we just think to make our business go to the next level is going to either be grants or it's going to be loans. Nobody really consider business credit.
Well, see, having good business credit is having good personal credit. And good personal credit is a step to getting good business credit. Now, you can build business credit without personal credit, but it's a much different process and it takes some time. But um see, people are scared of debt and credit all in general, you know? Um Debt can be used to make money, or you can use debt to just blow it recklessly.
Yeah.
And with business credit, your EIN is separate from your personal. So when you create an EIN and you put things in your business, if that business falls, it's not connected to you. And you can just go make another business versus if you put something on your personal credit, then if you fall or something in that business falls and you can't recoup it, well, too bad. It's on your personal credit, which I handle too because I do credit repair. But um, it's just covering all ends of what you know and understanding the laws, understanding tax codes, understanding USC codes, learning how to dispute credit, learning how to build credit. All those things are part of being an entrepreneur because you don't ever want to use your own capital. You
Hmm.
never want to use your own money. The way you get richer is using other people's money, the bank's money, um, versus using your own. Because if a business sinks, you can always make another business. But if you sink $250,000 of your own money, now you're in a hole, and now bills are unpaid. You can't do certain things. You can't even apply for certain things because you missed payments, and now your credit's tanked, and you're tanked. So, I just do a different way of getting people's minds like focused on good debt versus bad debt, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
That makes sense. And we were talking about Elon Musk, how he brought Twitter, and they were like he didn't use his own money. Most even though he's a billionaire, he didn't use his own money to buy Twitter, as they call X now, whatever. And that's what a lot of millionaires do. They know the ins and out of using credit and using money. Like they know not to let their money sit in the bank because it's only insured up to 250. They know about having assets. They know about multiple streams of incomes and investments. And that's stuff that I think people that are not millionaires don't know. And until you get in the circle where there's millionaires that are free, because some of them are free to tell you anything. And then you have those that gatekeep and be like, well, find out like I did. I love the ones that's like, hey, let me tell you how I got here. But I've been surrounded by millionaires and I can tell you they don't mind telling you what's in their bank account. I ain't about to tell you I got $60 in my bank account. I ain't gonna be like, yeah, girl, I got $60. They be like, oh, I got $5 million. I just made such and such. So you have a different mindset, about money and about wealth when you get there. But I think you need it before you even get there. Am I right, Caleb?
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because that's something me and the Lord have been disputing as far as me and happiness. Because even though I've made a lot of money,
Oh yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean I'm completely happy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm healing. I've went through a lot to know and make what I know, and I'm not complaining about those things, but there's things that I'm still hurt about. There's things that I still don't understand. There's things that I'm unsure about. So with that being said, like, millionaire status is a belief system. It's an energetic belief system. You have to believe you're wealthy before you're even wealthy. And well, people will say, well, how do I do that when I have no money? Well, wealth is not about things monetary or even things physical. It's about your belief system. The fact that you woke up and were able to take a breath this morning means that you're wealthy. The fact that you were able to take your first bite of food, see with your eyes, hear with your ears, feel with your hands, walk with your feet. You have more wealth than a lot of people out there. Then you go and look at our country, see, and you have to have a positive mindset because people think wealth comes from I work hard, I work hard, I work hard. And that's not me saying it doesn't, because it does. It's part of it. But wealth comes more from your belief system. If you can't believe it when you're poor, you're not going to even believe it when you're rich.
Oh, wow. You're
So,
right.
that's why they say, well, money can't buy happiness. It doesn't buy happiness, because all money is a resource, but you have to always go back to the creator of that resource. And that's why, like, a lot of millionaires that I met in California, and I know this is a Christian show, but they have psychics. A lot of them have psychics, whether that be with familiar or unfamiliar spirits. They always have someone very spiritual by their side.
Mhm.
Um, because that is the way the world truthfully works. It does not work in the three-dimensional. It does not work with things that we can see and feel with our hands. It works in the spirit. That's why God says our riches are in heaven, because everything that we want is already answered, but it just takes the proper belief system to get those things. Doesn't mean that he doesn't want us to be prosperous. It doesn't mean that he wants us to be poor. And the Bible says, I don't want to be rich nor poor, but just understand that I have everything with my Father in heaven. And that's the belief system. You already come from a line of wealth.
Mm.
And that's what has gotten me through tough times. Because I had to believe that the Lord was there for me, and he was, and he is through everything. Um, so with me further answering your question, it's you don't become a millionaire by works alone. It's by faith. Faith is how you become a millionaire, not by how hard you work. Because you have people that work 100 hours a week and still aren't rich.
Mm.
Um. So yeah.
Good answer. And you're right. We do hear about a lot of people in Hollywood have witches and, spiritual advisors and stuff, not realizing that they're tapping illegally, I would say, into the spiritual realm, where we go through the spiritual realm through the Holy Spirit and Jesus Christ. But it's amazing. They still know the concept of it, the principle of operating in that invisible realm. I just think we as Christians have not tapped into it. We so busy trying to sometimes tap into the physical when it's really the spiritual realm that the battle take place and things break and things change. But we're gonna take a 60-second break. And during that time, I want you to give us 60 seconds of just words of encouragement or anything that you want to say that's on your heart. And I'm gonna look on Facebook and see if they've been talking about you.
Okay. Um. Well, if there's any words of encouragement I have right now, it's keep going. God gives you signs of where you need to be. And as long as you're paying attention and not focused on all the noise, you'll be able to understand them, because God and don't put God in a box, because he can talk to you in so many different ways that you can't comprehend. So be spiritually open to the way that God is, because he is everything. The Bible says, I am that I am. Um, your physical mind could never comprehend what God is, but your spiritual being can have a better understanding and dive deeper and closer. So get into your spirituality, because it's not about how hard you work here. It's about how hard you work here. It's about listening to your heart versus your mind versus logic and critical thinking. And I'm not saying those things aren't important, but I'm saying that listening to your heart first will always lead you in the right path, as long as your heart is in the right place.
Okay.
So that's my words of encouragement.
So how if somebody want to get in contact with you, how will we get in contact with you?
I
Uh-huh.
I live life.
Facebook.
I live
Facebook.
life in a very strange way. Like, if I'm being completely honest here, which I always am and always have been, I let God lead to me who is meant. Like, I feel like that's why I've always been able to make thousands of dollars at once, because I believe that I will meet the right person at the right time.
Okay.
As far as business, as far as relationships, as far as friendships, as far as enemies. I know that I will meet the right person at the right time. I know that there's time for change. There's a season for everything if you read Ecclesiastes. And that is how I do business. And I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people because they're like, well, how can we reach you? I mean, yes, obviously you can reach out to me social media. You can get maybe my contact from Ruby or whatever the case may be. Google me for all I care. But I just let God, because I know where my heart is, so I attract what my heart is, if that makes sense.
So can we at least connect with you on Facebook? What's your Facebook name?
My Facebook name is Caleb Whitehorn. I have a few Facebook pages.
Okay.
But I have some fake ones too, not me making fake ones, just fake ones made of me. Um, but you can always reach me out to me on Facebook if you have any questions or DM me. I am a very busy person, but I promise if it's meant for us to talk, we will talk.
I like that. So we got Chandra, Linda, Toyanne, and we got Relanis and Renee out there so far watching, and they say hello. So they're listening. So this is the second part of our show, Caleb. So this kind of shifts a little bit. We talked about business. So we want to talk about what your life experiences, because I met you at an event I spoke at, and when you got up and told your testimony, it was just mind blowing to believe that you have been through what you've been through in such a short amount of time, because you're only 27 years old. And so you had several near death experiences, and your life has not been all roses. Could you share some of your life story with us?
Yes, and again, I'll summarize it, but um I've been in car accidents that have almost killed me, like a lot of people. I've had a couple heart attacks from just bodybuilding and not eating properly or doing the correct self-care after shows, eating way too much of the wrong foods. Um, Suicide attempts, all types of things that I've went through where God was just like, nope. And what's funny is each one of those times I knew I was not going to die. Every single time. Because the simple fact is like how hard I wanted to either commit suicide or even when I had the heart attacks and they said like it's not looking good, or even when I got into the car accidents with like semis or the car that hit me running a stop sign going 70 and cracked my ribs and broke my arm and I had avulsions in my hand, had to get my hand all stitched together. Um every time I just knew I was going to be okay. And I just, there's a testimony.
Yeah.
And when you understand that you're a testimony, your life changes the way that you look at it, because I could look at those things and say, why me? But that's just a victim mentality, and too many people are stuck in a victim mentality. I'd much rather be the enemy or the villain than the victim, because at least I know where my goals are, versus the victim who always says woe is me, and they're always stuck in the same place because they just won't get out of their own mindset. I'd rather be the villain and be bad and wrong than to be the person. That's why God talks about being lukewarm, because he spit there. You got to make up your mind. You're either going to complain about everything or you're going to win. And having a winner's mentality is understanding that things are going to come up against me. I am going to fail. I'm going to try new things, maybe bad things, maybe good things, but this is all a part of the life experience. This is a part of free will choice. So with free will choice being in there, people have to understand that there's a different perspective of spirituality where churches aren't teaching, because churches, honestly, and I'm saying this as respectful as I can on your life, a lot of churches are in it for money. A lot of churches are in it for tax write-offs. A lot of churches are in it because they want to condemn you into paying them something and staying a member because they make you feel wrong about all your human biology. When God has made us in his image, physical and spiritual. And
Mhm.
a lot of people have a hard time grasping that because every day we're preached that sin, 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 sin. But everyone has a different perspective of sin for their own lives through the way that they see it. So who am I to say that you're wrong? Who are you to say that I'm wrong? Nobody should be focused on that. None of that matters. What matters is unity. And a lot of people take on Luciferian consciousness, and Luciferian consciousness is that I'm upright. A lot of churches have that and they don't even know it. A lot of churches have the people that feel that they are upright because they serve a higher power, that they're upright because they are a chosen one. Those people are not happy people. I guarantee you. And those people are judgmental people, and those people are miserable in their own lives and cannot move forward. But it's not even my job to judge those people. It's
Mm,
my job to be Caleb.
mm,
It's my job to live my purpose. It's my job to love myself and others like me. It's not my job to dictate what you do in your life.
mm.
A lot of human beings spend time on judgment, judging things they have no business judging versus just focusing on the present moment. So, um, yeah, it's about just
I
answers that.
do agree there can be a spirit of self-righteousness in the church. And sometimes we forget that the church is a place for people to come and heal. And
It's a
you're gonna
hospital.
find yes, you're gonna find people in there that's sick. You're gonna find people in there that think they're healed. It's like I got a broken leg, but I'm getting up out of the bed trying to walk, and it's like, hey, you can't walk yet, you know. And so you find many different spirits in the church because you got to think about it. It's a building. It's the church is us, you know, and that's why I think people get that misconception when they I got church hurt. Well, guess what? We're all the living, breathing church. You know, you're putting too much how can I say insight into the building. So we just got to learn that we are the living, breathing church of God and we are example of Christ. And I like what you said about being a victim, you being lukewarm, and you was like, I'd rather be the villain because at least the villain knows their purpose and they're accepting, hey, I'm a bad guy, where the victim is like, woe is me, what happened to me? And I never thought about it like that as being kind of like lukewarm because a lot of times we spend our life asking why this happened. We can't get past not knowing the why instead of accepting this happened to me, let me move on. It took me 50 something years before I realized I didn't need a why for what happened to me when I was 3 years old. I needed to accept it. It gave me a testimony. It opened a door for me to be able to minister to people that had the same thing happen to me. And I like how you say you got to have a winner's mindset. You got to think like a winner. But like I said, I 100% agree that we as a church, we shouldn't judge others. We should be able to tell them about their sins because that's we're disciples, you know. And sometimes people are in sin and don't realize it, or they think like, okay, because I've been in sin so long, nobody know. But I'm here to tell you, God will tell your secrets to people because God has told me things about people, and I'm like, that's the devil. And turned out it wasn't even the devil; it was God telling me this, and it was actually true. So we just need to pray and understand that people are walking their walk the best they can, and we're here to be an example of Jesus Christ and being moved by the Holy Spirit to impart into their lives the path they should be on, you know. So this is the last question. Do you believe what you have been through is your motivation for taking the risk that you take? Because I can tell you don't mind taking a risk. What would you want the audience to know about overcoming adversity? I know that's like two questions, but
So, I'm gonna answer this, and again, I'm gonna try to summarize it as best I can as far as our
okay.
last question goes. Um, you said some key points, but the one thing that I want to focus on is like the first thing is the first thing you got to do is be an example rather than point somebody things out that they're doing. Just be an example.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to say anything to anyone about you're doing this, you unless God tells you, because God
Mhm.
sometimes will tell you.
Yeah.
But There's always a way to say it and love on people, even if sometimes that means tough love, to the right person in order to get the message through. Um, and also now leaning more towards what you just asked, um, the best way, the best. I lost my train of thought. Can you?
Want me to repeat this? Do you want me to repeat the
Yeah,
question?
yeah. Because I was getting so wrapped up
It
in the
was
other
a
thing, I was
long
trying
one.
not to. Yeah.
Do you believe what you have been through is your motivation for taking the risk that you take? What would you want the audience to know about overcoming adversity?
So the biggest thing, and I'm going to say something about me, and then I'm going to say something about blacks. Okay.
Okay.
The reason why I believe I'm blessed the way that I am is because I've never looked at money as it is my God. I looked at it as like I said before, as my resource. So I part of my risk taking is not just business. Sometimes God has put on my heart, um, I'll be on the street and I'll have $5,000 in my pocket, and there'll be somebody who's like, "Hey, can I have $1?" And God has said, "Give this person the entire $5,000 in your pocket, even though it's your life." And I'm dead serious. There's been more than a few situations, and I have, because I've always trusted my money source comes from the Lord. And it's always came back to me 10 times. And no matter what the consequence I thought was going to be, it came back bigger. It came back better. Yeah, maybe some people got mad. Yeah, maybe this was money that somebody had invested, but I believe all the money that I get comes from God. So my flow is a different flow. Now, does that mean that I'm risking everything? Oh, Lord just gives me everything, so I'm going to give away everything. No, but I'm always asking God what He wants me to do, no matter how big or how little the amount. Now, and I include Him in everything. Um, now, as far as me and building my testimony, I just feel like it's just another way to tell people, like, have faith. Like, you have to truly believe in what you're doing. You have to, and don't mix up stories. If God tells you go after something, go after it. And I'll just give you one example. The Corvette I had just got the other day. I was like, oh man, there's no way with the same credit profile I'll be able to pull off another brand new Corvette. And I had ended up jumping the gun, and the Lord had told me I was gonna get two new cars. I ended up jumping the gun, and Miss Swan's in the live high because this kind of relates to her. I ended up jumping the gun and buying a GM discount code to get money off the Corvette because me and my dad, he wasn't in the best mood, and I'm like, oh well, he's not gonna give me the code, so I'm just gonna buy one for $500. And I did, and I got the Corvette. But my stepmom still put the other GM discount in my business partner's name so I could secure it.
Uh-huh.
And the Lord was like, "You're gonna get two new cars." And I went for an old one first, a 2022 Corvette. And I didn't get it. They were not approving me for a used one. But the moment I applied for a new one, first inquiry, first approval from GM Financial. And because God doesn't want you to settle, if you hear something, that's why the word says, think it not strange about the
Mhm.
things that I am going to give you, because
Mm.
He is powerful enough to make anything and everything happen. But when He tells you something, walk in it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't say, well, how, Lord? Just walk in it. And even when you ask how, Lord, He'll answer you. He'll say, trust me. He'll say, talk to this person, talk to that person, pray, do whatever. But He will answer you, and it'll be a blessing and it'll be a testimony every time. So it's because there's other souls that God is watching because He loves everyone. So you have to be aware of these things, especially being an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurship takes a different faith level.
Wow. Put wow in the comments if he just blew your mind with what he just said, y'all. Put wow, 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 wow. That was deep, Mr. Caleb, what you said. How that God told you two new cars and you tried to go for a used car. And it reminded me today because I was thinking about how I ended up with my car. I had went to the auction and I always wanted a Lincoln, but I was like, I can't afford one. I need a car, and so I was about to buy this red car. I really was, but I was like, no. I went all over the city, and God still put me in my Lincoln. He would not allow me to get another car. I just wanted a car, but He wanted to give me what I desired, and so He made it happen. That was the weirdest thing. Is you just said that, and I was thinking today, like, God, I almost missed what you wanted to give me. I've been driving that little red car when you wanted to put me in a Lincoln, and I was about to settle. So I'm here to tell you, I hope you really caught in your heart what Caleb has said tonight. He has taught us about truly walking in faith, and like he said, if you're an entrepreneur, it's a different level of faith, and I believe it's a calling. It really is. It's a different level of accountability when you stand before God too. We take it lightly, like, oh, I do it today because I do it. I know I could be farther ahead in my business if I really push myself. But I'm like just da 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 alone. But my thing is, time is short. I'm wasting time, and you really have just given me the the flame that I needed, because I mean, for you to be 27, you prosperous, and you've been through two heart attacks, you've been through car accidents, you've been through a suicide attempt, and you didn't tell how when after the suicide that you ended up blessing someone while you in there trying where you were at trying to get healed. You still been a blessing, and that's what I like about you, your attitude. You fall, but you get up like, hey, nothing happened to you. You never play the victim. You don't allow yourself to be a victim. And this is how we have to be in business. So what, we fail? So what, we didn't get ourselves? So what, people didn't like what we're about to move, or they don't understand you? It's between you and God. And Caleb, like I told you, you're different. You're different. You operate different than everybody else. God called you to be different than everybody else. And that's why it's okay how you do what you do. It's okay how you connect with people. And it's somebody out there that's different and been trying to be normal. But your normal is different from everybody else's normal. So I just really appreciate you tonight. You see, I'm so excited.
I'm excited too.
I'm so excited because it's like I not only needed this, but I know somebody out there watching. You needed to hear this tonight, what this young man had to say. And that's why I wanted you to be on my show so bad, because of how you impacted me when I heard you.
I really appreciate it. You impacted me as well, because there were big monsters that and we're always going to be facing big monsters, and I'm going to, leave you with this. It, it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be different. It's okay to have a past, as long as you don't focus on those things. Those things are always going to be a part of your life, but you don't have to focus on them. That's the beauty of it. Because when God looks at us, He doesn't look at what we used to be, He looks at what we are. So this is a part of the love and grace of the Lord. It's not me saying go do willy-nilly, and this is just being brutally honest. And I know I don't, I'm just making this last statement before I go. Heavily, I used to be in the world. I had an OnlyFans. I sell naked pictures for thousands of dollars. Because I was that popular. I had over 100,000 followers on social media, thousands and thousands of likes, modeling, everything. I was lucky I didn't end up at one of those Diddy parties, because I was mighty close. Um, but I,
Goodness.
but truthfully, you
Yeah.
you get out there, but that's a part of your free will. And if somebody judges me on those things, that's them. God is not. God has said, my son, you had your free will. I got you through it. You have a testimony. You can touch different people in that industry, people who are being sex trafficked, people who are being raped, people who are being taken advantage of, people who are, there's a reason. So like, that's why I'm very careful about, like, and I'm brutally honest about myself and everything I do, because why not? We're all human. People like to just get so wrapped up in the Lord and think holier than thou, but you are human. And that doesn't mean you can't have supernatural gifts, but what that means is that being spiritual is acknowledging that you're both, because that's the gift of life, right? Versus, I'm not this, God, tear this away from me, because That's not what he created you for. Life was meant to experience. Granted, that's what comes with free will. You have choices to make, but your choices are always going to dictate your outcome. Every choice you make is going to dictate your outcome and whether you want to involve God in your free will or you don't want to involve God in your free will. It's always going to be choices that make outcomes that make your future. And being that means that you have to be careful. Watch it. And I'll leave you with this. One of my favorite books and Proverbs, I think it's Proverbs 9:11, if anybody wants to look it up. 9:11 or 10:11. But God says, as while you're young, let your heart be free, but just know you'll be judged on these things. Because it wastes time to think about how I should be living life versus just living it. If you get too caught up in the thought process, you'll miss it all. The part of life is just understanding that you're right now, right here, being a human being, being a spiritual person, being in one dimension and at the next at the same time, and God all around you. That's the blessing within itself. You don't have to think outside of that. Just continue to live life the way that you see fit. And just know that the Lord is watching. That's the best thing that you can do.
Mhm. So you just gave us an explanation of what grace is. That as we walk in our free will, if we step outside of God, there are consequences. If we stay inside of God's will, there are consequences too. But no matter how we walk, we have to enjoy life and trust that God has us. Instead of being so guarded. I'm not doing that. I'm not this, I'm not that. And you miss out on life experiences because if you don't do something wrong, how can you understand what grace is if you're so busy trying to live a perfect life? It's almost like you don't believe that God can forgive you for something. So I get what you're saying because sometimes we can be too careful, too heavenly bound that we're no earthly good because I have went to some of my friends and I'm like, I'm really going through something mental. Ain't nothing wrong with your mind. Bind it up, pray about it, girl. You all right. Ain't no such thing as this and that. And I know what I'm going. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to tell you this. You'll be all right. And I'm like, okay. Now I'm distressed over that and depressed. So we just have to be real. You telling us to be real and trust God. And when I first got saved, I was so scared to be around men. I felt like if a man walked past me, boom, we gonna fall into bed. Because I wanted to protect my virtue so bad because I had made up my mind. I was like, I'm not gonna sleep with a guy until I get married. But I had to learn that it wasn't me that was keeping me, it was God. So I could be around the company of men. I could enjoy men and don't even have to worry about that. That's not always the outcome. So I want to thank you for coming tonight. I want to thank you for sharing on the Ruby Girl Talk Show. You are always welcome back. I mean, welcome. The door is open. The Zoom is open for you whenever you want to come back. And I want us to stay in touch too, because I feel like it was a divine connection. Because what I was going to talk about was going to be for the women. It was going to be fight, girl, fight. But I left my notes at home. And so God changed it that also men could relate to it too. It was just, how can I put it? It was God ordained because your stepmom, Miss Toy Ann, she just picked me out the blue, and I was shocked because I've only seen her a few times in life. She even invited me to when she got married to your father. I was at the wedding. I don't know why I was at the wedding because I had only seen her one time, but I came to the wedding. So it
Yeah.
was, yeah, it's just really weird. But God works how He works. Like you say, just live your life, trust God, ask for forgiveness, walk before others as an example, and when God tell you to, then you speak to them, and always speak to people in love. So all right, everybody, thank you so much, thank you so much. This was a great interview. You bless my soul, and I know you bless other people's soul. So I'll be back. I'm looking for a guest for next Tuesday, y'all. Anybody out there, put me in the chat. You can be my guest. So we about to log off Facebook, but we'll still be on Zoom. So y'all tune in next Tuesday. And don't forget to go to my website, rubygirl.net, to connect with me and look up Caleb Whitehorn on Facebook and connect with him. So y'all have a great night. Thank y'all for being great.